world, my name is Roya and I'm here in Incheon at a cafe with Phil.
How you doing?
And we're here to talk about the Black Traveler's Guide to Incheon, which is an ebook that you wrote about this wonderful city that we're in. Phil, can you tell me a little bit about yourself and what has brought you to Incheon?
Sure. Like I said before, my name is Phil. I created the Black Traveler's Guide to Incheon, South Korea, which was published this year, September 2020. I've been here in South Korea since May of 2016. And what led me to come to South Korea in general was I was in my last semester of college. And I was trying to find another job. And then I saw on my university's job board about the idea of teaching English in another country, in South Korea particularly. And so, I did more research into that, and I said, okay, yeah, this might be right. Let's try it out. And so I came in around May 2016. I originally started in the city of Jinju first, then had a small stint in Busan, then Masan, then Daegu, then Andong. My last job recently was in Andong, and I quit that job to finally transitioned from a private school. All those jobs were in the private school sector, the English academies, and now I switched over to a public school position here in Incheon. And I started this job back in March of 2020. But of course, due to the pandemic, I haven't done any teaching. The classes have not opened up and still haven't opened up at the time of this recording because of coronavirus and the principal's hesitation to open up any afternoon activities or classes at my public school. Because he's apparently, to him, according to my boss, he's afraid that if he opens up any afternoon classes or activities, the parents are going to start wanting more and more of those classes to open up again. So.
Yeah, it's quite a difficult time.
Yeah,
now.
So because of that, I kind of been furloughed. I've been kind of stuck at home since July. And so since July, I kind of been stuck at home, and that gave me the idea to write this book. And so that kind of kept me, I guess, it kind of mentally sane, give me like a little purpose, energy to do something, get out the house more.
So you've spent quite some time in Korea,
Yes.
but fairly new to
Incheon,
Incheon.
yes, ma'am.
But because of the pandemic, we have time. So
Yes.
how have you found Incheon compared to all the cities that you've been in? Because I personally live in Seoul,
Right.
so most of my experience is there. I've traveled on the weekends and done short trips and day trips.
So Incheon is the third largest city in the country, so it's obviously larger and bigger, with more things to do, more activities to do compared to Daegu and the other cities. It's actually kind of hard to make it or get around, because if say I wanted to go to Seoul, I literally would have to take a bus to get to the nearest metro station just to get on the subway just to go to any location. So it can be a bit of annoyance, but overall I really like the city. Admittedly, I never really wanted to move to Incheon or to like anywhere near Seoul, mostly because of the cost of living for one. But for this city in general, I'm willing to make an exception.
So how has your experience been in Incheon and just in Korea in general? How do you feel being here as a black man living in Korea?
Honestly, as a black man, I feel like I'm at peace. Like I feel normal for once. Like I don't have to worry about anything. Like the stresses and issues I used to have back in America, like I just don't feel that way anymore. I have other issues to worry about compared to, like, say, in America. Like I'll put it like this as an example. I use this in another analogy in a video I use. It's like when the wintertime, when you come home from the cold winter, and you take off that heavy winter jacket, and you feel like your muscles feel more relaxed, right?
Yeah.
And then when you got to go back outside the next day for work, you feel dread. You got to put that jacket back on. That's how I felt like when I came to Korea after some time. I can just take that jacket off, toss it aside, put it in the closet, never have to touch it again, unless I actually go back to America, which I did back in February of 2019 to visit some family in Alabama. And I kind of begrudgingly just put that jacket on again. Like, God, I don't want to wear this crap anymore. But I would say in general, as a black man, I feel more free. I feel more relaxed. I can be me. I don't have to worry about anything else, about the struggles and issues that I would normally face back in America. Like, I don't have to worry about people calling the police on me, unless it's something that I did wrong, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I want to talk about this meme that I saw on the internet recently. I'm going to quote it loosely. It's something along the lines as Traveling While Black is doing research about how racist a country is before you go there. When I saw it, it resonated with me. I don't think I've ever actually proactively researched like how racist is Sweden or Switzerland or something that. But I mean, this is something that I've thought of, and I've looked at YouTubers, and I've talked with people that I know in my personal networks about issues and concerns. Like, how did you feel when you went to a place? And I wanted to talk about that quote. Not so much the idea of racism, but the idea of the needs, concerns, and the perspective of Black travelers may be different from other groups of people.
Right.
And I wanted to get your opinion about that quote and about your traveler's guide. Do you think that the travel industry lacks information on the Black perspective? And is this something that inspired your work?
Oh, sure. One, I actually agree with that meme because I do this myself with every country I go to. So I'm guilty of that. And yeah, for my travel content, the Blerd Explorer, both the website and the my Instagram, what encouraged me to create this content, keep going, is because of the lack of travel content. Now, I think you've probably seen yourself when you travel around the world, wherever, you probably feel like the only Black person in the area or on the plane, right?
And a lot of times that can happen, depending where you're going.
Depending on where you're going and timing, of course. I know everybody has their own vacation. Everybody's different. But I do feel that way because a lot of the times I think, and maybe it could be just you, but I feel for me, a lot of Black people, we don't know anybody who's traveled abroad before. The only time, like for example, like for me, I could probably think of maybe 1 or 2 people in my family who've done that, but most of the time everybody else is almost always in the military. There are military people who only travel abroad. And I think that's the same thing for most Black people, African Americans particularly. And of course, there are probably other exceptions, of course, to the rule. Everybody's different. But I really think it's because the fact that we don't see many Black people even think about travel because obviously we don't have the money for it. But I really think it's because of we don't know anybody who's doing this. And so that's why the travel industry community in general still lacks that Black representation. Because if you look on YouTube, like you'll find hundreds of travel content videos from a white person's perspective. And don't get me wrong, some of the content, like what's the guy's name, Mark from Migrationology or Best of Food Review, like I love their content. Like I really love them. Like, and it made me increase my travel list because of their content. But sometimes we need somebody who looks like us because obviously our experiences are going to be different than compared to a white person's or Asian person's. So. And I hope, and so far it has been on the rise. Like you see a little bit more and more Black travel blogs, video YouTubers, which is great, but we still need more. Because obviously, I'm going to have more travel perspective from a straight single Black man. We need travel content for like single Black women or single Black mom with kids or a Black gay couple. So we need those type of content because obviously, my content is kind of generalizing. But we still need more because everybody has different variables. Because again, we could use one for somebody who's gay, somebody who has kids, and because I can't tell those stories. I can only tell the stories of a Black straight single man.
Yeah, I definitely think representation matters, and Black travel has been on the rise.
Yes, I think last time I checked, it was like
several decades for sure.
Especially the past 5 years. I think I saw in an article. I think it was like 2017, 2018. There's like Black people spend almost $40-60 billion on travel and tourism. So it's definitely the demand is still there.
Yeah, I would say the last few decades, travel definitely has been on the rise for the Black community. Historically, especially in the U.S., with African Americans, resources and just, access to travel has been limited to the Black community. But, things are definitely changing in the world, and the world is becoming more globalized. Millennials have such a great interest for travel, and we're out here.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I'm really glad to be doing this interview and talking to you about your content. Moving on from that question, where did you get the information and the ideas for your traveler's guide specifically?
Well, what inspired me was this web seminar from Travel Noir. I think it was about turning your, I guess, side hustle into a passion, I guess, project to like earn some money. And I was listening while I was at work one day. I'm thinking, what can I do to earn a little, little cheddar on the side, but also be helpful to, in turn, provide something that's useful, information that's in demand. And I already had a blog for a while, but it's not something that's obviously not going to make a lot of money in time, of course. So what gave me the idea is, okay, what about a travel guide? Like, because that's something that you don't really see many about. Like, sure, I mean, there's travel guides for, from Lonely Planet, Nat Geo, and all those big guys, and that's great and all, but what about one that's from a black person's viewpoint? And that's kind of like gave me the idea. So what I did was I started writing down notes about this area where we live in called Cheongna, and I saw making some bullet points here or there when I knew what places to see, whatnot. And so what I did afterwards, after I had like 4 or 5 pages worth of sample drafts, I sent out to various friends and family to see what they thought about it. It's a test drive, and it got some positive feedback. I say a lot of people say yes, we will like to pay for this. This they showed me that there's demand for this type of content. And so I kept doing research about looking at various locations, what to visit. Because now Incheon is huge. So I couldn't cover everything. Yeah. Because obviously, again, this is my first book I ever wrote, so I want to make sure, okay, this is obviously my first book. I don't want to put all my eggs in one basket, give away all the material, all the content that's available to the city of Incheon. And so I said, okay, let's pick out a couple hiking trails here, various locations, and a couple markets here and there, right? And we'll just go from there. We'll start on that.
Hiking trails and markets. What other travel spots or places of interest are here in Incheon? Because I think, especially for someone like me, even though I live in Korea, most people who think of Korea, they think of Seoul.
Seoul, yes.
And now Busan.
Yes, and now Busan, yes.
Yeah, Seoul and Busan specifically. Why should someone be interested in coming to Incheon?
Yeah, so that's what reason I focus on Incheon, because I figure, one, Seoul is it's oversaturated. Like, you can find almost everything in Seoul already done. And I wanted to do a different city, not only to help make my book stand out a little bit more, but to show people, hey, there are other options that's more affordable to you. If maybe you can't hit Seoul, because Seoul is very expensive. Even if you go outside the metro area, the capital area, it's still going to be more expensive. And also, I found out pretty cool, there's a Chinatown nearby too. And I've
heard a lot about this Chinatown. Yes. I personally haven't been yet, but I plan on going.
Yes, and actually, there's this little cafe, this little area called this Fairy Tale Village in Chinatown, where there's basically buildings and murals painted off based on fairy tale characters like Cinderella, Wizard of Oz. And this actual cafe called Cafe Oz. It used to be a Wizard of Oz themed cafe, but the owner, she converted it to a One Piece manga cafe themed cafe. For those who know, One Piece is a Japanese manga comic. It's basically about pirates. It's like an action pirate.
I have no knowledge of this. So what is it, manga?
Manga, Japanese comic, like a Japanese graphic novel.
Okay.
So One Piece is one of the most popular graphic novels of all time. It's been going on since 1997.
Okay.
And it's still going on.
That's a very long time.
The man's the author, the writer, he's a genius.
So, can you describe the cover of your book for those who haven't seen it?
Sure. It's the idea of, it shows the readers who are interested in possibly looking at the book what you will expect if you're black and going to Korea or Asia in general. People will stare at you like you're a anomaly. It's just out of curiosity, of course. On the left side, you got a little baby boy trying to test the brother's afro, and on the left side is this little old grandmother just looking at you like, what the heck are you? Trying to figure you out.
Yeah, when I first saw it, I had a negative reaction, to be honest. It was quite triggering for me because I have been living in Seoul for almost the past 3 years now. And it was relatable. I have had people touch my hair, children stare, grown adults stare. It's just kind of the nature of things in a homogenous society. As a foreigner, you stick out like a sore thumb. I actually, at this point in life, when I see foreigners, I stare sometimes
Yes.
too, because
True.
it's like, wow, I totally get it, because you're like, wow, who are they? There's just such interest and curiosity.
Yes.
I actually really like the artists.
Yeah.
Like the detail and the design and even the style of the
Yes.
illustration is really nice.
Yeah.
But can you tell me, why did you choose the illustration the way it is of out of anything, this guy on the metro and having these not so comfortable
Yes.
interactions?
The artist, he goes by the Ants Art, Eben. I actually reached him out to him on Instagram. I was looking for various, artists to work for the cover. And what attracted me about him, because his content's pretty cool. He has like little hip hop anime type style, and he actually lived in Korea before, so he has a good understanding of the culture. I actually had multiple ideas, and I gave him a list of different ideas. And he kind of wrote, he gave like sample drafts of what could happen, like maybe just guys walking around, just enjoying the sights, and still getting stared at. Because again, I wanted to show the readers what to expect if you do come to South Korea, not only as a foreigner, but if you're a non-white foreigner, like if you tend with dark skin and have our type of hairstyle, this is stuff you will see happen. And I also emphasize this a lot of times in the book, like you will get serious only out of curiosity, like because again, Korea's a homogenous nation, so of course you're not going to see that all the time, especially if you go from the downtown areas of Korea, like it might be Seoul, Daegu, Busan, go from the downtown areas to like more outward of the city, even to areas
where there's
less foreigners. Yes.
Yeah, because in Seoul, I don't experience it so much because there are quite a few foreigners living in Korea.
Yeah.
So what was the writing process of your book like? How long did it take you to write this material?
Yeah, it took me at least over a month and a half, I would say, because I started writing the initial draft started back in late May, early June, and as time went on, I would write. I would go out, take pictures of the locations, and while I was there, I would take jot down notes on Google Docs, and of course the words and stuff, it didn't flow at the time, but it was just writing down the notes, and then usually I'll spend like the 3 days I'll spend mostly photographing, doing research, and then the next 2 days I'll sit down at the computer at a piece of canvas, start writing down flesh out my writing. And of course it took a little bit, almost a month, for the editing to get finished, for the editor, who's actually a childhood friend of mine, and she kind of gave me a little discount, so shout out to Bianca for that. But she was definitely excited to be a part of this project too. She was definitely interested, so we went from there. I got done writing, no more stuff, and now it's up to you for the editors and the artists to finish their thing.
How did you go about publishing your book? I want to move into talking more of the business side of things, because being abroad, especially in Asia and here in Korea, a lot of expats here are working as teachers. So doing business in Asia and doing business abroad can be a foreign concept altogether.
Oh yeah, for sure.
What was the process like publishing your material and doing all of that? It's an ebook, correct?
Yes, it's only ebook format right now, for now.
Online. Was the process different being abroad as it would be in the States, or was it the same? It
could probably be the same. Now, I shopped around and I saw on this publisher company called Publish Drive. They're a fairly new company, but how it works is you pay a subscription fee to upload a book to their website. In exchange, they'll distribute your book, whether it be an ebook, print book, or audio book, and distribute to like almost over 30 different stores and websites like Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, Google Play Books, Apple Bookstore, and many others. Kobo, I think, is another one. Scribe. So they distribute everywhere.
So I have one last question for you. What's next for you? Are you interested in writing more material? You did mention something about writing something for Daegu.
Yes.
Where could we follow up and find more information from you about things that you're doing?
Yeah, so you want to see my day-to-day, just look at my Instagram at the Blerd Explorer. So my next, since I seen the positive feedback, I feel like okay, there's definitely demand. So let's keep the ball going. So I'm gonna write another book about the city of Daegu, but it's more like just get the information out there, show people this content for Black people by a Black person. And so eventually, I will want to create an actual travel guide, travel book for Korea, for the whole country.
Oh, nice!
Like a Black travel guide for the whole country of South Korea, and that's probably gonna be starting. That's gonna be starting next year, and it's definitely gonna take me all year to do that. But by January 2021, I'll have my next book out. At least January, February for the city of Daegu.
Okay, well, Phil, thank you so much for having this interview with us at Black Asian Magazine. And yes, we look forward to seeing more from you in the future.
Yes, thanks for having me. Take care, y'all.
Yes. Bye, everyone.
Peace.